children of all ages, this is Apex Greatness. I am your host, Russell Broderick. This way.
No, you're both wrong.
Damn it, I thought I was right for sure. So this way is Dario Albuquerque. Off camera is the fairy pop mother, Lindsay Lehman. And we made it through the D-Day style minefield that was the 2021 NBA playoffs to get to the finals. What are you most excited for heading into the playoffs, Mr. Albuquerque? Or heading into the finals, excuse me.
No, that's okay. I'm excited to see how this is gonna end. Are all of the superstars just gonna be injured? And are we just gonna be watching role players go through the whole NBA finals?
Yeah.
Are we still gonna have good ratings? I don't know.
I think the ratings has been the most interesting part because
Yeah.
if you were to ask any pundit or people who pay attention to sports ratings like that, they would have said to you, no stars equals no big ratings, right?
Yeah.
And this will be on your screen, but the ratings have been phenomenal. They're like the best ratings that they've had in a long time.
I think since 03.
That's wild. So since the Shaq and Kobe era, basically.
Yeah.
That's insane. It just goes to show that the sport is growing and that the children are here. And Chris Paul.
Yes.
The children and Chris Paul, I guess, as Papa.
Yeah.
I think we might get through this. I can't say for sure whether.
Yeah, I was gonna say
because I'm thinking like Chris Paul, Giannis already a question. Like, who the fuck knows?
Yeah.
So that's your number one thing. That's what you're most excited to see. If there'll be any more minds stepped on.
To be honest, it's like I'm just hoping for Giannis to be able to play.
Okay.
That's like I'm gonna be upset if he goes if they go through the whole finals and he doesn't even get to play a game.
Yeah, that's true. And it's also like, are they doing the same thing that other teams have done this season, where they're underselling the injury?
Yeah. Well, they listed him as day-to-day apparently, but
that's a positive.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's just a tactic.
Exactly. That's what one thing we've learned during this playoffs is there's been a lot of that. There's been a lot of, his injury's not nearly as bad.
Yeah.
And then the Suns
already experienced it. The Suns already experienced it just last series
with Chris Paul, with what do you call it?
Well, with Kawhi. Kawhi was never ruled out, and
it's true.
Yeah, and the Suns were just like, whatever, we're just gonna play this like he's not coming.
So do you think Giannis has more of is this a Kawhi situation, or do you think he's genuinely day to day?
I think it should be. All right, so and I'm not a doctor, but Giannis's injury looked way worse than Kawhi's injury.
It'll be on your screen how it happened.
If Giannis freaking plays and Kawhi didn't, like, I'm just like, I'm definitely never gonna be a doctor ever in my life. I don't plan on being one, but if I wanted to be, that would make me not ever want to be. I would just be like, all right, eye test. You can't do it off an eye test.
I just think there's a really bad history of guys who are his height and leg injuries, and if he's not able to play, don't try and do what Trae Young did or James Harden did.
It's worse. It makes it
play. Yeah, because then you're being relied upon to get the ball, and you're 50% of what you can do.
It definitely hinders your team. Like at that point, like it was like even with when we've done our legacy breakdowns of MJ and Scottie Pippen with the migraine thing. Yeah. Like it was just better off Scottie not even playing, because it makes the team know, like, okay, we don't have one of our guys with us. Like we have to work to try to get through it. Like, and Milwaukee, they've after Giannis got injured, they've they've showed that they can at least be competitive.
I really think that's the interesting thing about both these teams as we talk about what the thing I'm most looking forward to in this playoffs is you are worried about the stars. I'm worried about the role players. We've seen both these teams lose their star and win significantly, right? So I'm interested to see which guy is going to make the finals their stage. You know what I mean? Like, is Devin Booker going to take that over? Or is Chris Middleton going to force me to apologize to him? Like, what's going to happen? And is Holiday for real? Because I don't know whether I was more impressed with Middleton or Holiday coming out of this last series versus Atlanta. Because Holiday played like a guy I have not seen since I don't know.
I don't think he's ever played like that in his career.
It's ridiculous.
Defensively, sure, he definitely has, but and even like with the assist and stuff, but definitely he never had that offensive burden.
It was like a light bulb went off for him. Like, oh, I can do this on the floor.
Yeah,
I can actually be aggressive and score more than 20 points. Like, and it was really impressive to see. So that's the thing I'm most looking forward to is which guy not named Chris Paul or Giannis will make the finals their grand stage.
And I mean, the obvious answer to people would probably be Devin Booker.
Yeah,
because it's like people truly do think Devin Booker is the superstar of that team. Which there's no argument. Like really, like you could it really could be like if someone said that, I wouldn't be mad.
It's why I didn't want to give Chris Paul the MVP.
Yeah,
it's the exact reason why I didn't want to do that. It's because I felt like the team was fairly deep, and the same thing could be they're oddly pretty similar, especially their road to the postseason or their road to the finals.
Who?
Phoenix and Milwaukee. Like they're very similar in how they got here. Their teams are similar to me.
I think Milwaukee had a tougher road, but I don't know. But
maybe, but it's arguable, especially when you consider the injuries.
Yeah. I mean, I agree.
Lindsay, what is the thing you're most looking forward to in the series?
Chris Paul.
The end.
That's
elaborate.
It.
No, elaborate on that.
Well, because he's half of the reason why I like basketball, I guess. So I'm excited to see him in the finals, and I hope he wins. And that's all.
Oh, okay. I see why the half comes in, because I'm like, what? I'm like, from what I know about you, that's not the case. But I guess it was throwing the lobs to the reason she was.
Yeah, to the main reason. I'd say it's 40% Chris Paul and 60%
whatever.
Blakey Baby.
Maybe 30% Chris Paul, 70, whatever.
But
again, semantics here.
I want to look.
You want to know what's funny? I wish I could switch my answer, and this is not to just like harp on you, Lindsay, but my main thing is I want to see Chris Paul fail.
Wow. Why?
I hate the media hype right now. Like, it's just like the way that they're like, I just don't like it. I don't feel like
You got to elaborate on that. You need to elaborate.
I don't feel like he deserves the dick eating that he's getting. It's over 5 minutes of the video, so I can say that. But everyone's making it seem like I could understand why people feel like he deserves this, but like the reason he got here is simply like 100% because of injury that allowed him to get to the finals, and then making it seem like he was like the greatest thing on earth, and it's like it's not the case at all. And that's
here's what I'll say in Chris Paul's defense. There are two guys in this playoffs. There are two players in the whole playoffs that on more than one occasion took over a game where their team, either Phoenix or the other team I'm going to mention, when they were down, Chris Paul and Trae Young are the two guys in this playoffs to me that then would take over the game, and especially Chris Paul in this last series against the Clippers, in the closeout game against the Clippers, and the closeout game against the Nuggets. didn't leave it up for chance in any way, and I commend that immensely from a guy
I do
who
too,
this is probably his last shot to get there.
for sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I can't hate on somebody who is taking advantage of their probably last opportunity.
Yeah, and I'm not. See, I don't disagree with that at all. I agree with all of that. My whole thing is, I just hate when people act like it's more than what it was. It's different to say Chris Paul is playing amazing right now, sure, but to make it seem like Chris Paul is playing like this and he would have done this no matter what, it's like it's like no, like we know what happened throughout this process. It's not only with him, like it's with a lot of other players. It's not just like I'm not just like, but the way
because you could say the exact same thing about Milwaukee. Literally,
exactly. That's my whole thing, and I'm not like I'm not over here making it seem like because Milwaukee was one of the teams that I expected to get to this far, and I'm not over here making it seem like Milwaukee's the best thing on earth because I know like all right, look what happened throughout the process. Like it's just being realistic about it. Be like, okay, Chris Paul, and I like the 41-point performance was his best game of his entire career.
Yeah.
At year 16. So he definitely has to get like praise for that. But it's just not like I've seen people say that he's the best point guard ever. And I'm just like, all right, people are drunk.
Yeah. Well, that's a conversation we can have if they win the finals. We can have that conversation and figure out where he lands in the.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, I was like, it's not a conversation for me. I'm not talking about him being the greatest, but I know.
But we can have that conversation about where he belongs.
Yeah.
Here's why I have this up. Chris Paul, since he's been back from the shoulder injury, right? Since we've said he's healthy, back from this old shoulder injury, 25 points, 9.5 assists, a steal and a half a game, shooting 50, 47, 95, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's easily the best basketball of his career, in my opinion.
100%.
Like you can talk about his New Orleans days where he did it for more of a regular season, but considering the context, because you still have to fucking play. Like you can't just like go like this and be in the NBA Finals. And let me tell you something: if Chris Paul went like this, I don't think the Suns would be here. I really don't.
And I also want to say, it's so ironic that he's having the best basketball of his career.
Yeah.
And possibly like the best stretch of his playoff career.
Right.
And not even with the shoulder injury, he's been playing pretty good. Like the injury didn't hinder him to where his other injuries in his career. On the year that
where everybody's
injured, it's just ironic that that's the case. So
that's true as fuck. And I'm sure he's thought about that himself. He's by himself, because when you cry after you win the Western Conference Finals, this is definitely stuff that crosses your mind. Yeah. You know what I mean? He's a deep thinker, put it that way. But I'm happy for Chris Paul, and I'm happy that this Suns team was able to get over the Clippers, because I did not want to see the Clippers in the fucking NBA Finals. I didn't want to see Kawhi on a peg leg fucking try and put up 40 points a game.
So we're talking so much about the Suns. I mean, we kind of already talking about how they got here.
Yeah.
So the Clippers series.
Right.
I do need to say this because I have shitted on this guy for a very long time.
Yeah.
So Paul George, he definitely earned some respect from me.
Okay.
Even with the last game of the series, he didn't have a good closeout. The closeout game wasn't the greatest.
Right.
And he didn't even shoot the greatest, but he definitely played. This was the best, to me, this was the best basketball from Paul George. Definitely in the last, 7 years, 8 years. I think this is the best of his career.
This game 5 was the best game of his career.
Oh, for sure. It's not even a question.
He smashed.
Yeah.
And they needed it. And it was, I heard somebody, this might trigger you, but I want to hear it anyways. Somebody said that this is LeBron Game 6-esque.
Oh yeah, I heard that.
I can't remember who said it, but somebody said it.
No, it's definitely it's not to the
If you take away the
magnitude.
names and look at the stats, sure.
The quality is similar.
Yeah.
But I just think that because the thing with LeBron's Game 6 is the finality of it.
Correct.
If-
Agreed.
If he lost that game, if he lost this game, he would have been done, right? But I mean,
Yeah.
I could see that. I mean,
Yeah.
I can
mean-
see kind of, but it's just not like LeBron forced the Game 7 and then won the Game 7, so it's just it just makes it. But I can see that. I'm not mad at the comparison as much as I probably would normally be, but
So I don't feel as strongly as you do about Paul George. Where I was going to give that credit, was this fucking guy
Mhm.
who you want to talk about somebody I've crapped on in his NBA career. This is a guy who was back up to Russell Westbrook and felt like he should be starting over Russell Westbrook. That happened.
Mhm.
This is the same guy who went to Detroit, won absolutely nothing, and just put up stats, right? Then he gets to the Clippers and, 10 points a game this regular season. 10 points a game, shooting 45% from the field, 43% from three, and 81% from the line. And then this playoffs, he's a completely different guy. And he was clutch.
Mhm.
Every time the Clippers made a big comeback, Reggie Jackson was in the mix, shooting threes.
Yeah, I
Like,
agree.
he was unbelievable. Lindsay, as a Clipper fan, who are you most proud of in the series, or of your Clippers not named Kawhi Leonard?
It was definitely mostly Paul George and Reggie Jackson. I felt like they were the two that were consistent and played well every night.
Marcus Morris too. He definitely played.
Yeah, but he's always been up and down. Like even in
Yeah,
this series, he had like hot and cold days, which is
Yeah.
annoying.
He was like that for Boston too.
But to me, the whole thing is like you gotta know what you're like. The thing, the problem with Paul George is, to me, he was a 2. Like he was easily a second. He's not the main guy that's gonna win you the championship.
Yeah.
But he's a solid 2.
Yeah.
But there are times that he would play so bad that you'd consider him a 3.
Yeah.
And it's like that should not be the case for a guy that of this level. Like Paul George could really be a superstar. Like
Yeah.
people consider him a superstar. I don't, but
Me
people
neither.
consider him a superstar, and I don't think a superstar should ever fall into that 3 category. Where you're the third guy on the like rotation, and I think that's why people get frustrated. But like a guy like Marcus Morris, you gotta know he's more of a role player. Role players are gonna have the ups and downs, like, and that's the thing, and that's why I compare Paul George to Chris Middleton, because no one has those superstar. No one says Chris Middleton's a superstar.
Yeah.
But I think him and Paul George are literally equal.
Yeah.
Like, but it's just the expectations on them are different.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
I'm not going to disagree with that at all, because if you could totally be right about that. My main thing with Paul George is, I just think that guy he thinks he's the best player, like, in the world, which I don't know how much I can criticize somebody for that, because you're supposed to think that as an elite NBA player, but like, I don't know.
But it's not like he doesn't play his role. Like when Kawhi's there, he knows he's second.
Yeah, he plays
Like,
a great Scotty. He plays a great Scottie Pippen.
That's
role.
why, like, you can't, like, it made me feel like, all right, I can't really be too mad at this guy, because it's like, it's not like he's not playing his role. If you suck, you suck. Like, if you can't, if you're not good enough, you're not good enough. I can't just be mad at you for it. Like, I don't. And the one thing about him is I never feel like he doesn't try.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, he might suck or whatever. I mean, he's gonna chuck his shots and he's gonna try to win the game still. But at least
he's very in his head too. He's in his own head a lot, and that's what reminds me of Scotty. Like, they're both in their own heads a lot, but when they can tune it out and they need to have a game, a lot of the times they're able to do it. It's the truth.
Him and Scotty are so similar for sure. Because I'm sure if they win this championship, he's gonna be just like Scotty 30 years later, where he's like, "Yo, remember Michael Jordan ain't winning without me." Like,
yeah, that's
he's
why.
100% Scotty. That's hilarious.
I feel like even though Kawhi won championships, before Paul George would definitely say that anyways.
Yeah.
Kawhi didn't win no championships without me. You guys never even made the finals. I don't know what you're talking about, dude. But Paul George, Reggie Jackson, I guess they can sleep easy this summer and look forward into the next year.
Oh, I don't know about that. Paul George might be getting traded. Imagine, this is Paul George's his best playoff performance ever, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And he might just get traded right after this.
What if Paul George got traded straight up for Ben Simmons?
No.
No?
I would not.
Both teams say no? Both teams say no? Who says no? Who hangs up the phone?
Oh, no. I think they might do that. I think Philly would be okay with that.
Yeah.
If I was Philly, I'd do it.
I would do that too.
I think Paul George is the better player. 100%.
I think Paul George and Embiid would be nice.
Yeah, because you actually have a guy that could shoot the ball, you know, and he's not too scared to shoot the ball.
Yeah. He might suck sometimes. He might shoot like Ben Simmons occasionally, but at least every once in a while he'll give you a decent outing. You know?
Yeah. And he, as long as, the only thing is him and Doc. Like, I don't think him and Doc work well together.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Off the court things.
They got some personal beef to attend to.
Yeah.
But
about his daughter, if you guys didn't know. Not to get too in depth,
oh
you know.
my gosh. I don't know this. What happened?
Yeah. You don't know this?
No.
First of all, you're a terrible Clippers fan. You're the worst Clippers fan ever.
You
suck as a Clippers fan.
You know how many stories we've had to tell you already, Lindsay?
Yeah, but it's not like on the court stories. It's like this like bullshit on the side drama. I don't know.
This matters for sure. So
basically, Doc Rivers was mad at Paul George because Paul George was treating his daughter shitty, something like that. Something along those lines.
He cheated on his daughter.
Oh, there you go. Same shit.
Yeah, and that's why it was like such a big thing in the Dallas series last year.
Yeah.
Because Steph Curry is with Doc's daughter.
Yeah.
And Steph was straight dogging Paul George in that series. And it was like I'm sure Doc Rivers was just like, why do you suck? And he's like, attaboy, like to Steph at the same time. He was probably just like stuck in between that. He was like, I hope we lose this series because of your bitch ass and we can trade you or something. But
Suns got there from beating the Clippers. Let's transition to the Bucks.
We get tangents. This is what a podcast does, sometimes,
So you wanted to open the Bucks, so talk to me about the Bucks.
Yeah. So with the Bucks, we've had a lot of disrespect. Well, not we've. You guys have had a lot of disrespect, especially Russell, towards Chris Middleton.
Very proud of him.
He thinks he's a 3.
Yeah, I still do.
I've questioned whether he's a 2.
Yeah.
And I think after the Nets series, after the Nets Game 6 playoff game,
right?
He made me feel like, okay, he could be a 2.
So and then, Game 6.
Yeah, his 38 along with Giannis's 33.
Yep.
He's averages our standard over the 25, 5 and 5, 25, 8 and 6. These are
2.5 steals a game too.
Yeah. So I definitely think he's a solid 2.
Okay.
I think and I think he is the end. When he plays well, the Bucks are unstoppable. I think he is what we would consider Steph in that offense, that Warriors offense. I'm not the same offense, obviously, but the engine that runs the offense. A lot of people think Giannis, but when this guy plays at his best, that team is unstoppable because Giannis is going to give you a super. So the difference between a superstar And this is, to me, at least what I consider the difference between a 1 and a 2 is a 1 is consistent. He's always going to give it to you. Whenever you have peaks and valleys, to me, that's when I don't think you're a superstar. And I also don't think you can ever lead a team to a championship on your own.
Sure.
And I think that's what Giannis is clearly the one. He's going to give you his 26, 13, and 7 or whatever. And he's gonna be consistent in that sense.
Right.
He needs his 2. When his 2 is playing like a 3 sometimes, that makes it hard. But if his 2 is playing at a solid 2 level, sometimes a 1 level, that's when you become unstoppable because the defense is there with the Bucks, and all they need is offense that can. Oh, perfect. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, if you cut between that games from that game 6 and down, is a completely different player.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to bring that up. The stats are similar, but if you look, that 21, when he jumps from 21 to 25, you'd think in your head, you're like, oh, that's 4 points. It's not really that. It's not. But let me tell you something. The reason why 25, 5, and 5 is the barrier for us is because of how much of a difference it makes when you're doing that.
But you got to remember, he averaged 25, 8, and 6. So he wasn't doing that. He was giving you the 21, 7, and 4. That's different. Like that's a 2. You're a 2 at that point.
And he's giving you 2.5 steals a game in this latest run, which means he's getting it done on both sides of the ball, which they need, right?
Yeah. And it's to me it was the magnitude of that. Not to mention Drew Holiday also has been playing amazing throughout this that run too. But it's the magnitude of that. You in game 6, you down 3-2 against the Brooklyn Nets with Kevin Durant just having his best playoff performance ever, arguably. And so your back is against the wall. And he showed out.
Yeah.
See, and that's a solid 3.
That's the thing that I don't know what I personally value more. You know what I mean? Like, because he's giving you 21 and 9, basically.
Yep. Yeah.
Which is like, and he's the best defensive player on their team.
No, PJ Tucker, but
you think? I think it's an argument. I think it's an argument. I think you can make the argument.
It obviously depends on the player who they're guarding. I mean, PJ Tucker literally had to guard Kevin Durant for 7 games,
but Drew Holiday guarded Kevin Durant on the Game 7 game winner that he airballed.
Yeah, but that's one shot out of 150 that PJ guarded.
The person to ask would be Kevin Durant, because this is a guy who's said nice things about PJ Tucker and has called Drew Holiday one of the best defenders in the league. So that'd be the person to ask. Just ask him while he's grumpy at home. But
I don't think he's grumpy. Yeah, we got a KD hater.
Yeah, you're right. He's probably really high.
To think though, wait, all right. I know this is like a huge tangent, but to think you dropped 49, 17 and 13 possibly smack, that's lit.
Hey, dude, he's not the first player to do that, and he won't be the last. I'll tell you that much for sure. It's just the only difference between that and things of the past is you just didn't hear about it because no one talked about in the 80s when guys would smoke cigarettes in the locker room or drinking beers and shit like that. And in the 60s, who the fuck knows? People could be doing acid and try and go on.
We know that in the 70s there was a cocaine trip.
That too, yeah, there you go. The traveling cocaine circus.
Yeah, in Chicago. But they were ass though.
Yeah.
They weren't dropping for 49. All right.
But
back to
I'm not ready to apologize to Chris Middleton. I'm not ready to do it. And mainly the reason I'm not ready to do it is because much like Paul George, and the reason why I'm not ready to give Paul George respect, I feel like even though you did step up and there is an expectation for you to step up, I just don't know. I'm still not impressed. Like, I'm just not impressed. He was really in Game 6. He had 13 points he had 16 straight points in the third quarter, and the whole time I was like, I sat there with my fucking arms crossed. I'm just
'Cause you're a
waiting for
hater.
something
He
stupid to
had
happen.
23 points in the third quarter to close. He literally, you just praised. Wait, time out. I'm sorry. You
I
just
didn't praise him.
praised Chris Paul for for seeing
Paul.
blood and ending it. And my man said, "This is Game 6. We're in your house, and I'm ending this."
Yeah.
And he put 23 points up, went up 20 points, and you over here just like, I'm not impressed. That's bullshit.
It might be bullshit, but it's just not.
That's
I'm just not
bullshit.
impressed.
I'm not.
It's got to be his game. I must hate his game.
And I'm sure, and that's fine. But this is what I'm saying. This is why, and I made this argument, I think, before the playoffs even started, and I said Chris Middleton over Paul George. And I think that solidified that, because Paul George in that same moment, I don't think would have done that. You gave Paul George that same opportunity.
Yeah.
Because you got to remember, I'm sorry, down 3-1 and putting up that 41 points, that's cool and all, and that's nice, and obviously you're great for it. But it's a different type of pressure when you know your star's gone down, you up 3-2, and this is time to end it. If you don't end this, you go into Game 7. It's gonna be Paul. I think Paul George would have. That's where Paul George is like his.
Well, they did that exact thing in Game 6. It was a team effort, but they did that in Game 6 versus the Jazz in the previous series.
Yeah,
the Clippers, where Paul George did exactly what you said. He's not. He didn't.
What, the 20? He put up 23 points in the quarter to end.
No, him and his whole team just
kill shot.
Decided to hit like 20 billion threes.
Yeah. That's the team.
That's how they ended up.
His team, it was done. Like they were saying it in the halftime show.
Yeah.
I remember Charles Barkley was saying they was stupid as shit for shooting threes, and I 100% agree with Charles Barkley.
Yeah.
Just attack. This team is so much better when they just attack the basket.
I agree.
And then afterwards, you might get some open threes, and sure, even if you make 5, 10 of them, whatever, when you attack the basket, you make it so much harder on the defense.
They shot 31% in this series as a team from three.
Yeah, it's disgusting. I don't know why they even shoot them.
Yeah, it's because they're pace and space. Mike Budenholzer is pace and space, and that's it. And he doesn't deviate from that. He is so tunnel vision, that guy. This is the game plan. This is what we're doing. That's it.
Yeah. And that's the part that will hinder them in the future, because if I think even them get into the finals at this point makes Budenholzer keep his job, because Giannis has the power to get him out of there.
I guess
Giannis could pull LeBron.
But he's not like that. He's the
I know,
only
that's
time
what
I've
I'm
ever
saying.
seen him do that is to help Jason Kidd save his job.
Yeah, no, I know. I know Giannis is not like that, but he probably, I think that hinders them for the future for sure. But
so I said before this series, this Eastern Conference Finals series, that I thought Mike Budenholzer was going to get fired if they lost that Game 7 to the Nets.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Charles Barkley nailed it the entire series, this Eastern Conference Finals, on what Milwaukee was doing. He nailed it because he was just like, this is the dumbest good team I've ever seen. Basically what he said. This team is going to win the championship, according to him. But they do stupid stuff on a religious basis. And it is ridiculous. And it's annoying. And it's why...
No, it is. I've been rooting for them from the beginning, and I agree. I've been just as frustrated as Charles, but keep on.
And the main thing that I'm worried about heading into this finals is the Bucks, for Giannis's future, probably should not win this finals because of everything that you're talking about. Because if they keep Budenholzer, I think they're going to when everybody gets back to full strength, I think this is going to be seen as the quote-unquote flukiest asterisk-style championship ever. And I hate asterisks and shit. But it's because Milwaukee has been in this position so many times, and they needed so many good breaks for them to be put in this position. Kevin Durant beat them by himself in Game 6. Was it Game 5 or Game 6?
It was Game 5.
It was Game 5, where he just completely destroyed them by himself. If you're a great team the way this team is advertised at times, that should not happen. It just shouldn't.
I disagree with that. I think
there's so many. They had 3 guys that are all-world defense to guard Kevin Durant, and he still destroyed all of them.
Yeah.
Like that, that's a coaching issue to me. That's a fucking coaching issue.
I for me personally, when you have a great player like that, like Kevin Durant, we've always said it even throughout series. When you have a great player against a great team, you give them at least one game. We did it with you do it with AI, you did it with LeBron, you did it. It happens all the time. You give them at least one game, and I think in that case it was a what? At that point it's a 3-game series. You give KD a game. I expect. We were texting and we expected KD to put 50 up.
No, I'm not saying that, but what do we know about recent major scoring outbursts like that and the way the game goes? Usually it's a loss. At least lately, it's been a big L. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even against the Hawks, right? Their defense was not fucking great. It really wasn't. They had plenty. There were times where the Hawks would get back into a lot of these games that they had no business being in. Most of these scores against Milwaukee, especially when they're at full strength, should look like this. Right?
You think
the Hawks should not be doing that to this team, just solely because Milwaukee had way more talent. You know what I mean? I picked the Hawks to win the series because I just felt like everything besides the talent was going to end up fucking them. You know what I mean? But I still don't feel confident in this Milwaukee team. I still don't.
I mean,
and I hate this. I should be coming into this wearing a Giannis jersey, putting Buck shit behind me, and just like, Giannis, let's go. He has a chance. This could be amazing. And I want the Suns to win this finals so bad. It is ridiculous. It is. I desperately need the Bucks to lose this. That's where I'm at.
But time out. You and Lindsay have been infuriating as seeing you guys as fans of your teams because this is disgusting.
I'm not fans of any teams.
No. Your friends or your players, whatever the hell y'all want to call it. When I'm Laker fan, right?
Yeah, I don't fuck with that.
Last year,
I don't fuck with that.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when I'm rooting for my guys.
Yeah.
Whether it's LeBron, AD, whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
I'm rooting for them.
Yeah.
I don't go and like muck it up. Like,
nope.
Lindsay was just like Lindsay. As you went through the Clippers thing, you saw them doing well. You never like embraced it. It was just terrified. Like I'm expecting the worst. And now you're doing the same thing with Giannis. The thing that you should be nervous with Giannis about is his injury. That's the only thing that I'm nervous. If he plays, I feel confident about the Bucks winning. If he doesn't, then whatever. I mean,
I'm interested in that because I think they have so many answers for a guy like Giannis. I just think the Suns have a lot. I think the Suns, as we've talked about throughout this entire show, the Suns and Milwaukee are very similar in the way they're constructed, in my opinion. A lot of pace and space, a lot of getting these guys on the outside and having a guy in the dunker spot and just doing it that way, right? I think this series is going to come down to Chris Paul versus Jrue Holiday. That is the number one thing that's going to be, because if Chris Paul is the Chris Paul I've just seen for the last 8 games that's averaging 25 and 10, 50, 40, 90, there's no way. How can the Suns lose the series if that happens? Because this Bucks team is so poorly coached.
I hope you're not right about it. Well, I mean, if you are right about that, you should be happy for the Bucks because I guarantee you, if it was just based off of Chris Paul and Jrue Holiday and like Jrue Holiday guarding them up, it's not the Chris Paul. All right, so let's look at who's guarded Chris Paul throughout this whole this series, all the series. He had Patrick Beverley, who did frustrate him throughout a lot of
and also shoved him really fucking aggressively.
Yeah, that's one of the notes I have.
That was the most Bush League.
How did I miss that?
Yeah,
because I didn't read my notes. Patrick Beverley, I wrote this. Patrick Beverley is a dickhead. so unnecessary. Like, I do like that style of like aggression, like during the game. That's okay because that's like he's playing physical, and that's basketball. That's fine. It's like Tony. That's like a Tony Allen kind of style.
Yeah, sure.
Just less trolly. Like Tony Allen wasn't as trolly as he was.
Yeah.
But then like after, I hate that. Like,
why? You know my favorite part about Patrick Beverley versus Chris Paul was the part where Chris Paul obviously flopped and got a flagrant call.
Yeah.
And Patrick Beverley goes up to him and goes, "Good shit, way to sell it."
Yeah.
That's the shit that I like. That was my, exactly. And it was like that the whole time. So when I saw that shove at the end of the series, I was like, I've never seen something that defines Bush League more than that play. Exactly. That was terrible. I'm sure
Chris Paul told him something. But,
maybe.
But who cares? Yeah. Patrick Beverley had been talking the whole series.
Yeah. Like, congratulations, you made the finals, pussy.
Yeah, exactly. You took the L. Take that L with you and just shut the fuck up. I can't believe I forgot about Patrick Beverley.
That shit was wild.
But yeah, Patrick Beverley definitely messed with him a bit.
Yeah.
And Chris Paul didn't really have a good series until that last I mean the 69-42, but he didn't have like oh no, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Oh yeah, averaged 24. That 41-point game definitely skews that a little bit.
Oh, I mean, sure, but he still played really well throughout the every game that he was able to play. Because he also didn't play the whole series because of the Corona stuff.
Yeah. It was just that first game he played bad.
Yeah. Which considering everybody else that's come back from Corona, is not that surprising.
Well, it was also, I'm sure, like the conditioning and stuff. He hadn't played for almost like a week.
Yeah, and now you have to go play in the conference finals.
Yeah, probably
it's like probably
like 40 minutes or so. So I can see how he'd be exhausted, you know. And he said he didn't really. He didn't like practice anything. He was just shooting. So.
Yeah, but Campazzo was against the Nuggets, and he shredded as he was supposed to.
Yes, and then the Lakers. That was our main weakness for the last 2 years is guard play.
Yeah, but he was injured for most of that series.
Yeah,
pretty much all of that series.
Yeah, I think Drew Holiday, if he's guarding Chris Paul, that's gonna be. I would assume Drew Holiday to guard, Devin Booker.
Really?
Or it's either between him or they're probably gonna switch off with him and Tucker, PJ. But I just think PJ is gonna be too. He's not gonna be able to move with Booker like that. He's more of a.
Or Kevin Durant.
Yeah, but Booker's like quicker than
Kevin Durant is like the best.
I know.
Whatever Devin Booker's gonna try and do,
Booker should be able like.
If you're right, that's crazy. I hope you're wrong about that because
I hope I'm wrong too.
My brain. If Devin Booker lights this guy up, lights PJ Tucker up, then I have to rethink how I feel about Devin Booker as a player.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Like, I don't think so.
I just could see it possibly happening, but I feel like it's gonna be like switch. But if he's guarding Chris Paul, I think Chris Paul's gonna have a long series. It's not gonna be as easy as to me, the real X factor with Phoenix is Ayton. I think if Giannis was there, because I think he's another body in the paint along with Brook Lopez to kind of help stop whatever the hell Ayton's trying to do. It's tough though because he's done good against every big man you could, like the best big men in the league. So,
what are DeAndre Ayton's odds on winning Finals MVP? Because I can make a case for that shit for sure. DeAndre Ayton is going to have to guard Giannis. And he's going to have to punish the Bucks when Giannis doesn't play. Because he's going to have to take advantage of Brook Lopez, who he's obviously faster than and has the athleticism edge on. He shot 70% for the playoffs. What are the odds?
2,500. I sent it to the group chat.
Bet that fucking shit. Because he's going to be put in the toughest defensive position on the court, right? Holiday is going to slow down Chris Paul, right? Mm-hmm. Booker is going to be locked up by Tucker, which leaves this situation, right?
We know Finals MVP, like, It
It's
rarely.
happened. It's happened. If you guard the best player and you play decently on offense, Iguodala, it's happened. It's happened. It exists. Kawhi Leonard, it's happened. It's happened a few times.
Yeah.
Giannis is in the
Usually,
LeBron
like,
spot.
usually, well, the Kawhi Leonard, I mean, Iggy was obviously like a very, it was a serious changing thing. And I just think the Kawhi thing, you could have given it to anybody. It literally, you could have given it to Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, like all of them had a good series. So
But this Suns team, much like that Spurs team, generally doesn't have that top scorer outside of Booker, and Booker usually is like 25, sometimes 5, but usually lower than that.
like,
So if you can get if you're Ayton, right, and you average 16 and 12 on 70% shooting against Giannis and this Bucks team, I think you're going to be at plus 2,500. I don't know, dude.
I'm not mad at that.
That's all I'm saying. That's my case. That's my case for DeAndre Ayton winning Finals MVP. I could see there's a roadmap to that.
Yeah.
I believe it for sure.
So, what are your predictions of this series?
Fairy Podmother's going first. What do you got, Lynn? Who wins how many games?
I'm gonna say, is Giannis playing?
Well, how about this? First question is you have to answer whether he'll play game 1 or not, and then give you your series prediction. So you got to speculate a little bit. It's a game we're playing.
I'll say he doesn't play game 1, and Suns in 5.
5. Wow. So you're saying the Suns, the Buns. You're saying the Suns just ride that momentum all the way through.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Interesting. Why do you not give the Bucks more than a game?
Because I don't know if Giannis will, even if he comes back, if he'll be totally healthy. And sometimes a player coming back not totally healthy is really bad as well, because it just throws off everybody else's rhythm too.
I completely understand that. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, I can see that too.
I'll go next.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
I'm taking Giannis to probably sit game 1.
Okay.
But I think it'll be one of those things where we'll get a report that said Giannis fought with Mike Budenholzer before the game because he really wanted to play. He tried out his thing and said it was fine, but Budenholzer was like, look, if we get destroyed in game 1, then maybe you come back for game 2. I think it'll be like that. I think they'll rest on the side. They'll err on the side of caution.
Suns is home court, right? Home court advantage.
Yes, I believe so. Yeah, because they were the 2 seed, Bucks were the 3. So yeah, for sure. And I'm taking Suns in 7 because I think when Giannis comes back, I think he'll be healthy. And I think because of the depth of that Bucks team, I think they're going to have several games where they get into like dogfights. I think this is one of those series where you bet the under every time because these are 2 teams that thrive in low scoring situations. But where's that Bucks? The Bucks beat the Nets in that last series, 86-84, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And in the Western Conference Finals, the Suns had to do a similar thing where they beat the Clippers 84-80. So they both thrive in that defensive, slow the pace down environment. But I just think Phoenix is built for half court offense.
Yeah.
Where the Bucks' half court offense is just doo-doo soup a lot of the time, unless it's Chris Middleton being a different basketball player than I know him to be.
Yeah.
So,
that's why I think,
I'm going to assume that Chris Middleton is not that guy, and I'm not going to apologize to him at the end of the series. And I'm taking the Suns in 7 because I want to. Those finals and this playoffs deserves a 7-game finals of just like insanity.
Quick thing. So if they lose this series, no matter what, Chris Middleton's not gonna get here. If he averages 25 a game this series, you're still gonna be like, nope.
Context is so key. Probably, I don't know. I can't imagine it. He should.
I mean, clearly context isn't. He dropped 23 in the third quarter that closed.
He should have earned my respect last series, but I can't. I'm not a believer. I don't believe in him. I think it's a flash in the pan. I think everybody can have a hot night like that. I'm just not impressed. I just was not impressed.
Multiple hot night, big games and big moments.
I can't explain it. I'm sure I'm an asshole, but I can't explain it.
It's like you pick a player. Like last year was Jimmy Butler. This year Chris Middleton.
But look. By the time we were going into the finals, I was like on the fence about Jimmy Butler. But at the end of the finals, I gave praise to Jimmy Butler. That happened.
Yeah.
I said I was sorry.
Yeah.
We'll see, Chris. If you come out of this as the Finals MVP on the losing team, maybe I'll be happy with that. Maybe that'll be enough.
I agree. So we all agree that Giannis isn't going to play game one because I don't think he is either. I don't think they gave him enough time. The finals was supposed to start on Thursday.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, they moved it up. Maybe because they were assuming up to Game 7, but it was just. I think it's stupid. I think
it's just to fuck with me in my life. It's the only reason.
And then
we had it all night tonight.
Yeah, and it also it's annoying because, especially like you gotta take the year into consideration, bruh. You guys have been making these games be so close. You've had so much injury. Why not give them time? Like to rest a little and then play. Like, and plus your ratings are gonna be much higher if Giannis plays versus not or whatever.
Do we know that for sure?
Yeah, probably not. I mean, you're gonna have all of Greece looking.
I would assume so, but yeah, the entire country of Greece.
Yeah, facts. But so my thing is, and I have to put I would think just naturally off the facts that I've had, because I did the same thing last series with the Suns where I assumed Kawhi was gonna play. Right. So I don't want to assume. So I'm gonna say what I think if he doesn't, what I think if he does, because that's just, to me, that's gonna make more sense of what I'm thinking right now.
Yeah.
So if he doesn't play, I see Suns winning in 5 or 6. If he does play, I'm expecting him to play either by Game 3.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
Game 2 if he plays, whatever. But I think Game 3 for sure he'll play. And if Giannis does play, I have Bucks in 6 or 7. I think I'm leaning more towards 7 because I think that they could go down 2-0.
Yeah.
And then it's gonna be Giannis having to help his team come back, and then I think Chris Middleton and Jrue Holiday they could do what they have to do for the next 5 games and get it to that point. But I think. And I feel like an asshole for this, but I really just am like, I'd rather see Giannis win a championship than Chris Paul.
Oh.
And I know it's messed up, and I know that
if I'm a hater on Chris Middleton, you have been this way towards Chris Paul the whole playoffs.
But it's because like come on, Chris Paul has literally a 16-year career where he has literally like come up short, either through injury or through not playing well.
Yeah,
mostly through injury. And he gets to this point where it's like a battered season where it's like, does this championship, no matter what, I'm having an asterisk on it. I'd just rather have an asterisk on Giannis because he could prove it again. Like he has time to be able to show, okay, I am a champion. Chris Paul, he's going to win this shit, probably never win again. And then he's just going to get at least he won a championship at the end of his career shit. And I'm not trying to do none of that. This ain't no Oscar Robinson shit. Fuck that. You don't deserve a championship, clearly, because if this wasn't happening, you wouldn't be here. So I think Giannis deserves it. 2-time MVP, obviously a great player. Chris Paul is great, but just he hits a tier.
This is where I don't agree with you, because I'd rather have that argument with Chris Paul than have it with Giannis. Because if, let's say, Giannis gets a championship after this one, then he's got 2 MVPs and 2 championships. That's a really short fucking list. And now you're going to have people look at him like I did before this playoffs, where he's like on path to be the GOAT. And I don't want to hear that if he wins this championship.
No, absolutely not. No.
But that's what I'm saying. I'd rather have Giannis lose this. I'd rather have Giannis lose this, win a more legitimate championship, fire Mike Budenholzer's bitch ass, get Nate McMillan or somebody like that in there.
Oh yeah, for sure. But
or even Rick Carlisle, somebody like that. Like
I think he already got a job, doesn't he?
Yeah, but the rumor was he left the Mavericks before Game 7 of the Bucks Nets because he was trying to make himself available for the Bucks job. That's a rumor.
Oh, that'll be dope, but I don't think that's gonna happen.
Okay, ready? One last question. Ready?
Yeah.
Chris Paul gonna be the greatest chip and dipper ever?
I don't think that would.
That will blow Dario's. That will literally break your brain if that happens. You'll be so mad.
Yeah, because it's gonna be the illest, like, cock eating. Like, I've already had an argument with people today about Chris Paul being the greatest point guard ever, and I'm just like, are we blind? Do we not
Ignorance knows no bounds.
The last 6? Huh?
Ignorance knows no bounds.
Oh my god! I was literally arguing for Chris Paul and Steph. I'm like, are we serious here? Like, did we not watch the last 10 years of these people playing and see, like, all right, one is way better than the other? Like, oh man.
And whenever they played each other, would just dick the other one. Like, I'm just confused by that.
And you were a fan of them. Why was happening?
It would make me so angry. That's why I remember.
Oh my god! I remember Steph freaking doing the whole behind the back, turning around and shooting a 3 in front of the whole team. Freaking nah, man! Come on, this isn't even a conversation to me. So I don't want Chris Paul. Don't win your championship. I don't care.
Nah, if Chris
Paul won a championship, coming to Kobe. If you would have been here with LA like 10 years ago, we would have been alright.
Not his fault.
Nah, fuck you. You should have done something. You were somebody up there.
My man is still bitter about the trade that
they ambassador and all this bullshit. You should have just done something, little bitch ass. Now you getting pushed by Patrick Beverly.
Now
locked up, huh?
Now I hope Chris Paul wins it and gets Finals MVP, so I can have you on the show. First thing, with just him winning the Finals MVP, just like when we were in the Bucks locker room watching the Bucks win over the Chiefs this year. This is your destiny this year.
Oh, I'm not gonna be that mad.
Make you miserable in championship situations.
Because last year I was so happy.
Destiny.
Remember, I was so happy last year, and it's just like, yeah, we got to do a whole turnaround in this.
That ass. And you're
But no matter what, this championship, and I know you disagree with this to an extent, but this championship gets an asterisk no matter what.
Yeah.
Having 8 or 9 superstars get injured throughout the playoffs automatically to me doesn't count, because it's like, I understand injury is a thing, is part of the game.
Yeah.
But this was obviously a weird season, and the season clearly caused the injury. You know what I mean? Like,
that's true.
Like that condensed season, the 73 games or whatever. Like, I just think that automatically does the asterisk. And I don't care if it's Chris Paul or Giannis that gets it. I'm definitely going to do the same thing that I did to the Warriors. The Warriors went through a whole slew of injuries to get to the championship and win it. And until what made them, that even the next year, them going 73-9, that's what solidified them. That's what made them say, okay, you're a champion. I don't even care if you didn't win it. We still consider you a champion, because 73-9 is clearly greatness.
Yeah. The last thing
imagine Phoenix goes 74 and next year, like,
that would be that'd be too much.
I would totally, like, we would have to clip this whole, like, 10 dick eating, and I'm gonna just have to, like, do the whole opposite and
eat the most crow possible.
Yeah.
Here's the last thing I'm gonna say on injuries and this season and all that stuff. I'm kind of concerned that it's not just the season, that it's the world we're in at this point. I don't know that much about science, but guys are pushing their bodies in terms of, from an athletic standpoint, to their limits nowadays, in terms of being in the things like the weight room, doing things off the basketball court to keep yourself, quote unquote, in shape and in condition. And in turn, you're seeing a lot of these guys when it hits playoff time specifically, because this has happened. This has been more than usual, obviously, but this has happened across pretty much all sports for a few years now, where guys have gotten hurt at a much higher rate. And I'm worried that we're going to be in a position where this becomes part of it, that it's no longer an asterisk type thing, that this just becomes part of the game where, yeah, dude, you're going to lose probably your best player and you're going to have to fight through that. Hopefully your team's good enough. It might change the dynamic of what winning a championship looks like. And I'm really interested to see where that goes in the next 5 years. Because I'm not positive I'm right about that, but I am worried about it. Because I think human beings are pushing their bodies further than they've ever done to be the best athlete they can be. And I think it might be costing their bodies, like in terms of health. I don't know if I'm right, but it's what it feels like. And it's happening in this sport. It's happening in football. Like, these are things this is a big problem going into the 2020s, I think.
Just to that extent where, like, I definitely understand the injury piece, because injuries does happen. And before I would always like even with the Warriors championship, like the 2015 championship, like you could understand, like, okay, sure, you got good breaks or whatever to get you to that point. Right. But this thing is like, Adam Silver should have realized, like, all right, by game 50, where they see all these players injured, like you had LeBron, AD, KD, freaking James Harden, all of these great players just injured before the playoffs even started, and like literally a question between most of these great teams were, if their superstars play, then it's a different, then they're gonna go. This team is gonna go to the finals. If they can't play, then this, what I mean? That was like a huge thing going into these playoffs, and I just think, like, there should have been some type of adjustment. I understand, like, the TV money and stuff, but, like, should have at least adjusted the timing of, like, each game of the playoffs, maybe? Because I'm sure...
No, yeah. I totally agree with all that. Yeah. Like, this was a money grab to a high extent, and the players definitely were the pawns in that situation. Yeah. I get what you're saying in that.
And I feel what you're saying about the future, because the fast pace is, like, that's just something that's not, because I would argue MJ played way, like, he also was like a different type of specimen, though. Like, the amount that he played golf for like freaking 8 hours and then went to go play a basketball game. Yeah. But it was also a much slower paced game.
True.
Like that. So,
but even in the late 80s, we just went over this late 80s period, right?
Yep.
Short of Magic being injured and Isaiah's career ending oddly earlier than usual, most of these guys got through these runs. You know what I mean? Like, they had a solid 10 years where that's what it was. And now you see these guys in their 20s, like just horrible injuries for their careers, where I just don't. So part of me just thinks it's as simple as they're literally the way they run puts more force on their bodies because of how much faster they're running. Like,
who do you think though? Like, who are you considering the players in their 20s that are getting, like, Giannis's injury is clearly a freak injury. It's not
Giannis. So Giannis, a guy like Porzingis when he got injured with the Knicks, I think about something like that. The Kawhi stuff that's happened with him.
Kawhi is not the one. Yeah.
Joel Embiid, right? His entire beginning of his career filled with injuries.
Yeah, but he also, like, see, all right, so
I'm just naming names. You asked me to name some names.
Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah,
but not even just from this playoffs. Like, this is going.
No,
Derrick Rose.
Joel Embiid clearly didn't take care of his body.
Derrick Rose. That's the first. That was when it really started.
That one was the freak. That was a very freak injury. Like, I'm just looking at some of these injuries that, like, as like they're just like
Kevin Durant with his Achilles.
Yeah, like that one.
There's
like,
a lot
obviously each case has like you can see where from.
Context is key, sure.
Yeah. But it's just that's the reason I can't just go and say, like, I think that's gonna continue. I think this season is definitely just a weird one, but they definitely, those older players didn't have to play at this pace. Even Kobe and LeBron. Kobe played his 20 years, but he played in a slow pace throughout most of that.
And we looked at that when we did LeBron's legacy breakdown, and we're looking at it when we're doing Jordan's now, where the pace, the pace in LeBron's career went from a place that was really friggin' slow to a pace that was really fast. And Jordan's, it was the opposite. It was a pace that was really fast into that slow era.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because the guys in that slower era did have significantly less devastating injury. Yeah. Like they'd have nicks and knacks, but
yeah, because you don't really have that many like Achilles injuries or whatever in that 90s run.
Yeah.
Like, you have some bad injuries, but not to that extent.
Yeah.
And I think
Isaiah Dominique
yeah,
had their Achilles rupture. Isaiah and Dominique had that. Yeah. One of them was able to come back. One of them had to retire.
Yeah. And I mean, Isaiah was pretty much towards the end of his career anyway.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
and Dominique as well. Like he was pretty. So I think
it wasn't like right in their start of their prime.
Yeah, like the KD thing. I mean, KD and Dominique were almost identical in the time frame that they got injured and everything. Yeah. So
that's true.
I mean, it all depends on. I do think the fast pace definitely causes more injuries. I just don't know if it's gonna be. I don't think it would ever be this ever again, where you get 9 superstars injured during a playoff run. It's never happened in the history of the NBA. I don't even think there's been 3 in the history of the NBA.
I'm not even going to disagree. I just don't know going forward. If we're here next year talking about, you know what, last year there was bad injuries, this year there are bad injuries. I guess we're just like fuck it at this point.
Yeah,
what happens?
That's just gonna suck. I hope
that wouldn't surprise me. Is all I'm saying.
Well, what they're gonna have to do is they're really gonna have to. If it happens 2 straight years, what's gonna happen is they're gonna have to lower the amount of games that they play.
Yeah,
because you can't put. This is not at some point. Like, sure, it was nice for fans to get to the East and Western Conference Finals and see brand new players like Devin Booker, Trae Young, all these young stars.
Yeah,
but if you have multiple consecutive years where injury is just making this happen, like for the casual fans might be okay with it, but I know the core fans would not be okay with it.
I figured it would have been the opposite. I figured the hardcore fans would be like, hey, whatever, we know about all these bench guys. It's fine, whatever.
Exactly, yeah.
Casuals might be like, fuck it, I need my LeBron.
Yeah, exactly. And I well, sometimes casual fans might like, they like, a lot of people like new.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, if I see this new kid, Trae Young, and he's shooting
new kid on the block.
Yeah, shooting it from 35 feet, and they're comparing him to Steph Curry. I know what Steph Curry's like. Like, is this guy really gonna be Steph Curry? And then that kind of makes you, a hype fan about him.
Yeah.
But I just think, for me, I would hate to just have to, like, I was okay with it this year because I'm like, okay, I mean, it's cool to, like, now Trae Young, I hated him his whole career, and now he's freaking doing good, and he made me a fan. Like, shit like that was cool. But if it happens 3 straight years, I'm not gonna be happy that these superstars that I think are like the greatest players in the world are not playing in a championship game because they're playing so many games and it's condensed and all this bullshit. But I don't think it's gonna be the case. I feel like this is a skewed year.
All right. Any last thoughts before we go?
I love you, Chris Paul. And I really love you, Devin Booker. You already know, Kobe for life.
For Apex Greatness, I'm Russell Broderick. That way is Dario Albuquerque. Off camera is the fairy pod mother. It's just the fairy pod mother, Lindsay. Damn, I never fucked that part up. And thank you for watching. Check out Michael Jordan's Legacy Breakdown. And we are saying peace.